Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma. If this is the first time you're coming across this channel, you're very welcome. To all my returning subscribers and returning viewers, thank you so much for stopping by again. So in today's tutorial, I'll show you how to make this lovely kimono jacket with Ankara and plain fabric. So please do well to watch this video to the end. Like, share, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and let's get straight into it. So these are the fabrics I'm working with. I have this Ankara print here and I made use of almost 3 yards. So I have 3 yards here, but I used a little less than 3 yards. So from 3 yards, 2.5 yards to 3 yards should do, depends on how wide or how big you want it to be. And I have this plain fabric, which is crepe. About 1.5 yards of the crepe fabric should do, or any plain fabric you decide to use. Now I'll go ahead and fold my fabric. So I'll open it up fully. I decided to do it standing this way because my surface is really small to show everything completely. So after opening up the fabric here, I'll go ahead and fold it lengthwise. So I'm folding the length of it, that's from the shoulder to the full length, just for the Ankara fabric, and mine is about 41 inches, including a little allowance to attach the crepe fabric to the Ankara print. So folding it lengthwise is 41 inches. So you know that the front shoulder to length 41, back shoulder to length 41. Okay, so as it is on a fold, if you open it up, I have about 82 inches. Now after folding it lengthwise, I'll go ahead and fold it by the width. So I'll pick one edge and the other edge and fold it inwards this way so that I can have a center line, that's a center fold. So I'm basically folding this into 4. Okay, you fold it first by the length and then you fold it by the width. Now when you're folding it by the width, it depends on how long you want your sleeve to be, because the center fold we have now is starting from the center of the front and back and going over the arm to the sleeve. So you just take the measurement from the center of your back over your arm to where you want your sleeve to stop. So whatever you have, that's what you fold it by, and mine is 22 inches, and this is before adding the plain fabric, so you know how long you would want your sleeve to be. I hope you understand. Now I'm going to go over to the table and continue with the markings. So this is placed on a fold of 4, and the top there is the shoulder line, which is long from the center of the body to where the sleeve is stopping, and that is 22 inches. And I have the length here folded as well to be 41 inches. Now I'll go ahead and mark my neck width. So I'll be using a neck width of 3 inches, but I'll not mark exactly 3 inches. I'll mark 2.5 inches because I'm cutting directly on the fabric. So that ½ inch is going to be used as an allowance to join the crepe fabric when I'm joining it around the neck. And then I just marked down a neck depth of 1 inch. So I'm cutting out the back neckline first, which is what I've just done. And now I'll proceed to mark the front neck depth. So placing my tape from the shoulder point, I'll come down by 8 inches and I'll just slant from the neck width of 3 inches down to 8 inches. So I'm just making a basic V and I'll blend it into the folded edge just down to the end. I went on to just cut out the length of the dress or the kimono, and now I'm going to go ahead and separate the front from the back so that I can cut out the front neckline. Since our fabric was folded in 4, if I just cut the front neckline with the back piece folded under, is going to affect the back. So I have to separate the back from the front, and you know we're not cutting anything out on the shoulder, so it's coming as one piece. Now I'll go ahead and cut out the front neckline. So I'm opening the front. I'm going to divide it into 2. The front is what is going to have the opening. So I have just cut out the center front and blended it into the neckline. Now I just made a notch at the shoulder point, dividing the back from the front neck, and then I'll go ahead and cut out the crepe fabric. Now the crepe fabric is just going to be cut out as long pieces that will go around the sleeve opening, around the center front and necklines, and around the hemline. So I want the width of these pieces to be about 5 inches. So I'm marking 6 inches now, so that after hemming the edges and attaching it to the Ankara part, I'm going to have 5 inches in total. And now the length is going to be 41 inches times 2, so that it can go around the sleeve opening of the front and the back all around. So when I multiply 41 by 2, I have 82 inches. So that's going to be the full length. So it's going to be really long. So I place it on fold right now, but when I'm done, I'm going to divide it into 2 equal parts. I don't want to have to start measuring 6 inches all the time. Okay, so now this is for the piece that goes around the neckline down to the center front, and I cut this on a fold of 3 inches, so this is going to be attached as it is on a fold. I've already ironed it so that it is easy to just attach it. So this is going to go around the neckline of the front and back, and then down to the center front opening. As you can see, I have some joined pieces. That's because my fabric was not long enough to take the entire 82 inches, so I had to cut and join some pieces in some areas. Now for the wider piece that goes around the sleeve opening, I went on to finish one part of the edge by folding it in, just making a very nice stitch around there. So you can go ahead and weave yours, or you can turn it in with a lining. If you have enough fabric, just cut your fabric on a fold and join the two open edges of the fabric to the Ankara print, and that will give it a very neat finish. Now I also cut out some pieces that's going to go around the hemline, and I finished one of the edges the same way I finished the other edge. I just folded it in and made a very nice stitch on it, not a straight stitch. I don't know what the stitch is called. Now I'll go ahead and start attaching the crepe to the Ankara print. I'm going to just try to get the midpoint of the back neckline and make a notch there. I'll also notch the midpoint of the crepe fabric. I'm going to place the two notch points together just this way so that they meet at the middle of each other, and I'll just use my pin to hold it in place. Now I'll go ahead and join from one end all around the neckline to the other end at the center front. Now also take note that I'm attaching them right sides together. Okay, so I'm placing the right side of the crepe fabric, the two open ends of this folded crepe fabric, on the right side of the Ankara, and I'm just going to sew it along there. Now to the sleeve opening, I'm just going to bring in the crepe fabric here and place it right sides together with the edges of the sleeve opening. I'll pin it this way, and I'm just going to sew a straight stitch from one end all around to the other end. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm also going to do the same thing when I'm attaching it to the hemline as well. So I'll just take it to my machine and start sewing. So I'm done sewing for now, and it's time to cut out my pockets. I've placed another piece of fabric on a fold of 4 so that I can cut out the two pockets at once. So the pocket is just going to be a very basic rectangle, and I want the width to be about 9 inches. So I'm going to measure 4.5 inches because this is already placed on a fold, and when it is opened up I have 9 inches. But I'm adding 1 extra inch for sewing allowance, so I am marking 5.5 inches instead of 4.5. And now for the length of the pocket, I'm just going to mark 10 inches for the length. Now I'll go ahead and connect all these points together this way and cut out a basic rectangle. Now that I've cut it out, I'll open it up, and you can see I have my two separate pocket pieces. Now before I attach this to the kimono, I'm going to iron in the edges so that it is very easy for me to top stitch. So I'm just going to iron it, and this is what I have here. I folded the edges in, and one of the edges, which is going to be the pocket opening, I just went on to fold it in and make a stitch on there. Now I'm going to bring in our kimono that is almost ready. You can see that I have attached the extra pieces of crepe that go around the sleeve opening for the left and for the right side. And you can see that I have attached this other crepe piece that goes around the center front and the neckline. And I also attached the crepe piece that goes around the hemline, but I didn't show that here. Now to attach the pocket, I'm going to measure from the shoulder point or from the side neck point right there. I'll measure down 17 to 18 inches. So just basically measure down your shoulder to waist measurement, or you can use from 15 to 18 inches. So any of that would do. So I measured about 17.5 inches, and then I measured in 5 inches. Just from where the Ankara starts from, I measured in 5 inches, and that's where my pocket is going to start from and go inwards. Now you can decide to center your pocket in the middle of the Ankara fabric. So just from where the Ankara starts and where it stops, you just find the midpoint, and that would be where your pocket would be placed. But I didn't want to do that to mine, so I just measured in 5 inches from the center of the Ankara because I don't want my pocket to go toward the side too much. So 5 inches from the center inwards, that was where my pocket started from. I'll use my pin to secure it in place for now, and then I'll take it to my machine and just top stitch. So that was why I had to iron it first, so it will be easy for me to top stitch. So I'm just going to sew from one end down there, the bottom, and then back up, and the top part will be left open as our pocket opening. Now what I've just shown here is what you're going to do to the other side, and this is it after attaching the pocket. I'm not done yet. I just wanted to show how I attach the pocket and how it's looking. So the last thing to do is to seal up the side, because it is still open here. So it's just like a wrapper that we put on our shoulder. So we have to sew the side, and to sew the side, I'm going to go ahead and measure down from the top. That's from the shoulder line at the top. I'll measure down about 10 inches. That is going to be for my sleeve opening, or will I say my hand opening, where my hand will pass through. Okay, so that we can seal up the side. So from 10 inches, I'll measure down 10 inches, and from that 10 inches, I'll sew it down. I'm not going to stop at the very end. You can just stop where your crepe or plain fabric stops or starts from. So you can decide to stop there. Now, if you don't want your thread to show, you can go ahead and just sew it in the middle, right between where you have the stitch of the Ankara and the plain fabric, so that your thread does not show. But I don't really mind, so I'll just use a matching thread to close up the side on the Ankara print. And this is the final outcome. You can see how it looks. Very beautiful. I absolutely love it. Please do well to give this video a thumbs up, share this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments and I'll be happy to respond. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.